Kathy says she's already had her fill of snow already this winter. Although technically it's still fall, Kathy, so yeah, we've got a long way to go yet. Good morning, everybody. Carrie, sorry. Takes a while sometimes to get these systems online, so I appreciate y'all's patience. There's about 8 things that I have to do to get on live for you all, and I can't skip any one of them or it turns into a train wreck, as you guys have seen before. All right, let's dive into it. Hello, everyone. I'm Wave Meteorologist Brian Good. Welcome to SnowTALK on this Thursday, the 4th of December. I can't believe that Christmas Eve is 20 days away. 20 days away. And I have yet to wrap a single gift yet. I need to get on that. I don't mind the shopping part of it all. That's kind of fun. The wrapping, that part, yeah. You can usually tell my wrapping. My family makes fun of me. Oh, Brian wrapped this one. Yep, that's me. 3 pieces of tape. Easy to do. All right, guys, welcome to the block today. There is a lot to cover, but we do not have an alert day out. There are no big snow systems in the forecast, just some minor things to watch. So we'll cover those. I'll give you a little bit more of a nugget on long term. We'll go into much more on long term, though, coming up tomorrow. And I will be here on Saturday morning, so I will be with you guys for another update on Saturday. So we'll cover it all in the coming days. All right, let's get into the board today. Nothing too drastic here. The snow setup for tonight still continues to look south, so that trend is still locking in. I just don't see much of a signal going north with this. I think the flow is too progressive, so this is looking more and more like barely a Kentucky event. We get into Sunday night. Into Monday, still a complex ordeal. I don't think that one's done yet. It needs more time to cook in the oven. I'll explain where we're at there. And then I think the Wednesday, Thursday one is interesting. It has more of a dynamic to it. So it could be one that will also change in the data each and every day. I don't think any of the models are right on any of this stuff, to be honest. So don't get caught up in model runs. A lot of you love to look at each one that comes in, and I get that, but you're going to just stress yourself out because they're all going to look slightly different almost every single time. And they need crucial pieces of data, and usually close range is the only way to solve that. I know this is all about long range forecasting these days, and this is what the blog is about, long range. A lot of long range stuff we do is a lot of theory-based and pattern recognition ideas that we talk about of what is likely to happen. But those finer details do matter, but you have to be close in range to get those details. All right. I'm not going to go on that disclaimer. You guys have been here for a while. You know what I'm talking about. All right. Down to Bardstown. Yeah, not a lot of snow there. A little patch here and over there. Did check at Ollie International. Still coming in at 3 inches of snow on the ground. I think Bowman is coming in at roughly about 2. And Fort Knox about 1 inch on the ground. But still, I mean, basically since the month of December started, we've had snow. And we once we get some sun to hit this, all we have to do is go to 33, 34 and a partly sunny sky. That's going to do a number on much of the snowpack in the area. And we may, I don't think it's going to happen today, but tomorrow we may get into that setup. Better chance to do that on Saturday. Okay, so the snowpack you have now will likely be fading here soon, but it's also really good icicle weather because now we're seeing not only some melting as we get close to 32 at times in the afternoon and then freeze in the 20s at night. That creates good icicles, and even having your furnace on in your home heats up the roof. So there's melting of snow off the gutters. That too allows for some giant icicles. Has anyone noticed that in their home? I have one of those decorations that is on my roof that hangs off the edge for Christmas, and it's covered in icicles right now, dripping down. Looks more like a Halloween decoration now that I think about it. But anyway, I always love that. Icicles can be dangerous. Don't get me wrong. Don't want to stand under them, but their beauty in them can't be ignored there. All right, you ready, guys? Good. Let's dive into it. Current temperature outside, 32. We only made it to 28 yesterday, and then we climbed closer to 30 during the overnight. Now we're at about 32. So even at 32, we're going to see at least some modest melting. Certainly the snow that's been in the trees will start to fall off if it hasn't already. And the trees will be fairly snowless looking compared to the postcard image we've had past couple of days of looking pretty with the snow sticking to every single branch. We should start losing that today. Most of the snow you'll see will just be on the ground and in parking lots that's been scooped up by some of the plows there. All right, 31 down to the south into Fort Knox, 32 down in Adair County. All right, here are the clouds. We've had the flurries flying around. I did get a little bit of a dusting on my car today. One of the brief snow showers that moved overhead. It wasn't very much to get excited about. It was just a very, very, very light coating there. Most of you probably just saw a few flakes, and that's it. The dry air just ate it alive. A lot of that set up. Not surprising. I mean, that was the game plan, but still, it did keep us cold. And now that band in the front itself is lining up along 64, you're going to get flurries today. It's going to be right along where that boundary is setting. So central Kentucky into Shelbyville, E-Town, Bardstown, a few flurries at times will fly. Thanks to that front hanging out nearby. So what about our southern system tonight? Well, there it is. It's already lighting up across Arkansas and Louisiana. Let me backtrack that just a bit more. And normally, you know, if we didn't have this front really that was sinking in the area, this would be a classic track to be just like we had on Monday. Hold on, I got to fix my wand again. There we go. This would be a classic track like we had on Monday, where it would just journey a little more north and east, right? But because we have the front that has pushed down, we've got a high pressure in behind that is a blocking high, so the system can't go north. It has no choice but to keep going on the freeway and head eastbound. So that is going to allow for just a grazing of snow just across far southern Kentucky, and a lot of that's going to be elevation based too. So the Appalachians certainly will get a nice little thumping of snow. I'm not sure if they have any alerts yet. I would think they would have winter weather advisories, especially for elevations there. Let me see if I can trigger that. There they are. Yeah, some of the plateau areas around I-40, it looks like, right along I-40. That may be, what is the hill? You guys know what I'm talking about. The main, I guess, mountain that you drive on I-40. You drive up to and you drive back down. I can't think of the name of the mountain or the hill that you go up. Someone knows, because I remember as a kid, and I've done it many times traveling to Atlanta and to Charleston. But anyway, that is likely that spot where you're going to get some snow on some of the roadways there in I-40. But certainly it's more the Smoky Mountains that in Nashville they'll have to deal with some snow. And this is cold air damming, we call this, because of the Appalachians. The air is coming in from the northeast, and it gets trapped on the other side of the mountains. So this is all cold air. This is probably going to be a mix of freezing rain, sleet, and snow both, but pretty messy. Very common to see that in the Carolinas and to Virginia. We call that a CAD, again, for cold air damming. So really on the snow part, it's more elevation-based, moving across Kentucky, and then more of a wintry mess in the cold air damming area on the other side of the mountains. Did anyone say the mountain? No one said it yet. Not Jellicoe. Jellicoe's right there on 75. I'm thinking right there on I-40, and I know there's a gas station right at the tip top of it. I wouldn't say it's a huge mountain. It's just a giant hill in eastern Tennessee that a lot of folks drive through. Well, I'll think of it later, I promise, or somebody will as I'm yakking here. All right, so that's the system for tonight. Let me walk you through this in Futurecast. So pretty decent setup on this. It's got, the snow band moving. This is one model's idea, but they're all very similar on this being a Tennessee and far southern Kentucky event for the snow. We were thinking maybe we could get some flurries a little closer to parkways. That may be possible, but I don't think it's going to be. Thank you, Lisa. You got it. Monteagle is what I was thinking of. Thank you. That's going to bug me all day, Lisa. You saved me from English today. All right, so maybe some flurries in southern Kentucky. I'll show you a snow map in a second, but it's not going to be anything too impressive. That passes on by. Got to watch out for maybe some fog that may form tonight. The skies try to clear if there's still that snowpack on the ground, and we should still have some. So that's going to be a threat every night that we could get some areas of freezing fog. But you got to have the clear sky first. That's the issue we just have been lacking on. We haven't really seen that strong of a signal yet. Obviously, once we do, then that threat will come into play, but we'll just take that day by day. And I don't think it's going to be overly widespread. So, but something we'll watch. All right, we get into Friday. Friday actually is not a bad day. There's a better opportunity to get sunshine. I don't know how rapid the sun will be able to take over, but we should spend a few hours above freezing as we head into the afternoon. It's on I-24 before Chattanooga. Thank you. Okay, I knew it was somewhere in that area. I just didn't know where. I remember going from I-40 to 24 as I make my journey down toward the Carolinas. So thank you. I appreciate that. But no, it's Monteagle is the one I'm thinking of for sure. Just location. That was a long discussion about a mountain today, wasn't it? All right. So yeah, better chance to get some sun. We'll get above freezing for a few hours. Some snow melt will happen here on Friday. Again, watch out for still some fog that could develop. Some hints of that, especially up 71 as we get into Friday night into early on Saturday. That again would be freezing fog. So typically it doesn't really make roads slick as much as it creates more of a glaze on elevated objects, a car door, your railing to the porch, sometimes even trees in your yard will get a little bit of a shine to them, a glaze. That's the main issue from freezing fog. But right now it's not a strong signal, but we will monitor that. All right, we get into Saturday. Saturday, clouds start to move back in throughout the day, but it will be a warmer flow. So we should be able to get well into the 30s. Not sold yet on 40s. Not yet. Can't roll it out in southern counties. I think 40s are actually like it for you all. But areas that have that deeper snowpack that's still holding on for now in Indiana, a little bit tougher to get above 40, but still above freezing is likely. But then we get a front that will move in a very sharp way as we into Saturday night. There are hints we may see a pretty stout drop in the wind chill Saturday evening. I'm monitoring that for light up Louisville. For right now, the daytime portion doesn't look bad, but we get into the evening and the wind shift hits. If it hits early enough in the evening, it could drive some of these wind chills down in the upper teens. So I'm going to look at that more later today. Still a couple days away, but just something I did notice in skimming over the data that is that is possible that we could get some cold wind chills at some point Saturday night. Then we get into whatever is going to happen with this Clipper setup. And here's the challenge with this. It's one you're going to know very well. Here is the wave energy there, and there's the energy down here. Phasing time. Are we going to see a handshake or not? And some of the data comes toward that idea, and some go away from it. I think that's about the only way you're going to get anything really impressive out of this. It would have to phase. Otherwise, I think this is going to be the northern feature would only impact this without a phase, and that just doesn't have enough of a kick to it to be overly impressive for our area anyway. Here is the Euro. Let's dive it down. Here we go, Sunday afternoon. Still not quite there and connecting, right? So the piece is here and the piece down along the Gulf, but they're just not shaking hands yet. They could. This is common to see them not show it this far out. And usually we get within about 48 hours, suddenly you start to see a little bit more of a phasing look to it. If it were to phase, what would happen? The low pressure would likely form right in through here. And you would see a bit of a curling, almost similar to what we had this week, where you'd start to get a little bit more of a snow band developing on the northwest side of that as it pulled away Sunday night into Monday. As of now, though, the most of the modeling is just aiming on the Clipper side, which that would likely be a very light rain that would then go over to snow. Anything on the snow side as of now would be more of an Illinois event and maybe central Indiana. They would be in a good spot before the Clipper kind of surrenders there and fades slowly as we head into Monday morning. So as of right now, this is not looking very impressive for a big snow event, or even accumulating snow is going to be tough here. But it's early. I think this is what we need to watch. Needs more time in the oven to cook. And I'll be monitoring this carefully in the coming days and see if we see any trend toward a handshake, or do they can stay separate. And if they continue to stay separate, then confidence will increase on this being a relatively minor setup, although I do think we'll get some snow out of it, just not what we just had. Okay, fair enough. So give us time to work on this one. There is one right in behind it that likely will trend north. But it's the midweek one that is interesting, because this is a little bit more of a wave that moves in with a strong push of cold air in behind it. This is likely to be warming up enough to get us into the 40s to allow for this to be rain for Wednesday. So once we get into rain, now what will happen, and gets very interesting, is as this wave crashes to the southeast, there is a chance for some type of low that will try to react in that and develop into a storm system before it heads more out to sea. It all depends on how fast this pushes in. And of course, if it's too fast, the phasing or the new storm look would be offshore. It wouldn't even impact anywhere close to us. The Euro's been back and forth on this, but it's been showing this for about 4 days now in varying ways. I know everyone's been focused on the setup tonight and Sunday night, and this has kind of been sneaking in the data, just kind of lurking in the distance here for the middle of next week. But it's an impressive wave that will move through. So as it digs in, you see the piece right here. This is the typical Clipper that falls in behind a trough. This is going to race right in behind it and dig into it. That would allow then for a low pressure to form. That's where you get your snow that can break out. The models are not going to show that. All right. This is just how typical the flows work here. When you get an open wave with a front that moves in, pushes to the southeast, becomes what we call a negatively tilted, and then you get a Clipper to dive in behind it and dig in behind it and push it even more. Then you get this bowling ball effect, kind of a loop-de-loop that I used to say, that will develop, and you end up with a bigger storm system that can grab a hold of that and develop. The drawback to it is if this push right here, again, is too strong, it will push this too far east. It will do what I just described, but by the time it does what it needs to do, it's too far away from us. It's heading eastbound. So I think it's interesting, and this one I think has more promise to me right now to be a setup to watch for Wednesday and Thursday. But that's a long way off, and boy, that's a lot of model runs and data to go through between now and then. So don't get your hopes up. Just know that's on transparency on our end. That's where we're looking at. After that, I think we will try to warm up for that weekend, the weekend of the 13th and 14th. That may come at a price of something mixed as far as maybe some brief freeze and rain or sleet, but I think there's a good chance we're going to go to rain that weekend. The models keep trying to push us in the 60s, even 70s. 70s keep showing up. Highly suspect of that, but I do think a milder push of air, 40s, maybe 50s, is fair. I think that will happen that weekend. But what this is showing, and this is where the model stops, is this is the leading edge of what would be a very aggressive push of Arctic air right in behind it. Some very cold air. That will set the stage for what will likely build into the first day of winter and likely into Christmas. So this warm surge, while it's kind of like, oh, we don't want to see that. We don't want to deal with ice for sure, but we definitely don't want to see warm air. We don't want to see Cape showing up, lightning and thunder. But yes, you do. Yes, you do. If you want to get into a colder pattern that lines up for Christmas, you're going to have to allow the pattern to relax a bit to allow this, the dumbbell effect of the low pressure to drop in, as the polar vortex will be stretching out at that point across Canada right into our backyards. So this is a key piece of what will happen later. And right now, I think next weekend, not this one, but the next one, may be sacrificed to the anti-snow gods before we get into that. All right, let me show you the matrix. And I tried to divide it up on individual systems I talked about. And you can see the signal is, I mean, it's noisy, but there's nothing really alarming. They're not all filled in on the 2 periods we need to watch. So this is the wave for Sunday night and Monday. Okay, well, I mean, yeah, there's noise there, but it's not a really strong signal, and it doesn't look overly heavy, of course. Then we get into the Tuesday, Wednesday wave. That is where you start to get noisy, and it's struggling. It doesn't know how this all will play out with that, the effect of that wave digging in across the Ohio Valley that I referred to next Wednesday and Thursday. It's struggling with this, but you can tell that it does bear watching. And then notice, again, the lack of a signal into that weekend. But that makes sense if you're going to get a warmer push of air. But right at the end of this, everything starts to all line up. Look at the very far right-hand side. You see the signal starting to light up on several members because it just starts to see the crash that happens that you all couldn't see on the model I was trying to show you, but it happens right after that. And interestingly enough, when you look at the polar vortex, and we're keeping on the stratosphere still, we already had our big warming event. The GFS is trying to hint that another one is trying to take place as we continue in through mid-December, leading to that colder shot for late December, perhaps very early January. On the right-hand side, this was the stratospheric warming. You see it did drop below zero to reverse the wind. It was right at that point in late November. We've been trying to recover, at least the stratosphere has, but now we're getting the cold. Result of that, again, there's a delay in all this. It continues to try to recover, and then we start to see the hint of another drop that will happen as we get into December, mid-December especially. And if that drop indeed happens, that will set the stage for the end of December and very early January. Exciting stuff. I mean, it's a pattern that if you love cold and snow, I mean, this is going to keep resetting itself and keep attacking. I just don't see any type of warm pushes or anything like that are going to switch and reverse and lock in. I'm not seeing that signal. I'm seeing the cold air is just going to keep reorganizing and playing its next little dive. All right. December 19th filled in. Let me go back to that. Sorry. Let me look there, Gary. Yeah, the 19th almost, but it's a noisy signal, but that will be the point of a flip back down. So other than the one for next Wednesday and Thursday, I think after the warm little vacation that hits, the mild vacation, I think that's when things get really interesting. And yeah, that should line up for Christmas. So we shall see how that plays out. All right, let me get into that 10-day, and then while I put that up, I'll look at some of your questions. Let's see. Weather folklore says cold, early, warm, late. Typically, yeah. We are about to go into El Nino in the spring, so there's some questions on how that will affect the pattern as well. We'll get into that another day. Not today. Let's see. Going to Rockcastle there on Saturday. You should be fine. I don't see any issues with a big snow that's going to cause you to not be able to make it, Debbie. So you'll be fine there. In fact, you'll have still above freezing and all those days in that area. So that's good. GFS is a big event. What did you say? Missed your comment, Cameron. Sorry. It zoomed on by real fast. Big event. Yeah. Well, I mean, you got to take each one of these model runs with a grain of salt, as you know. Just kind of give it some time to settle and look at the trend. You know, there's options in some of these model sites to trend a particular time period. Do that. Take a time period that looks interesting, say next Wednesday. If you love looking at upper air data, then trend over the last several days and see if you sniff out the same things that we're looking at, where you start to see a trend in one direction or the other. Usually that's the best way to get the story. The atmosphere is always trying to talk to us, guys, always trying to talk to us. We just got to be listening and not telling the atmosphere what to do, which is we get accused of. Well, I'll say we, and I say usually me, of wish casting, snow casting, whatever it has been called. I'm like, if only I had that power. If only I had that power, I would be, yeah, Mr. Beast, you would be taking second spot right now. All right. I'd be number one on YouTube. But I don't have that power. So I love snow, but I can't wish it into existence. But I do think we should always be listening to what the signals we're getting from nature and from the data that's coming in. The signals are all there. We just got to be paying attention and take out all the noise that's around it. It gets overwhelming at times. And it gets a lot easier. It's a lot easier to understand how the Earth is trying to evolve and how weather patterns continue across the globe. I think it's fascinating. That's what I love about weather, is looking at the big picture and the storyline, because it tells the whole story. But I'm left-handed. I don't know if that means anything. Sometimes left-handed people see the big picture. Right-handed people, I understand, are a little more detail-oriented and focused. That's what I've always heard. That's why I have typos. I can't see little fine details on things. My brain goes too fast. But I can sit back and look at a weather model of the globe and talk forever. I'm rambling now. I do that usually by Wednesday. So for a Thursday, I mean, it's a little late in the week for me to be rambling. All right, guys. I appreciate you all. You're awesome. Try to stay warm. All right. Again, no big snow here tonight. Just a little bit of snow in southern Kentucky. If you're in Adair County, yeah, let us know how this turns out later tonight and tomorrow morning. And then tomorrow, when I'm back on here, we'll look a little more long term, but also we'll get an update on the Sunday phasing or not, where there'll be a handshake for Sunday into Monday. And then we'll look a little more at that Wednesday, Thursday wave. Fair enough. All right, guys, take care. And I will see you guys coming up on midday at 11 a.m.